What's up, bitches? Jazz Hands here with another, not a how-to, but a video on doing a job that I didn't see one on the interwebs. So, here we got a 2021 Chevrolet HD. That means hog dog or something. I don't know. This one has like the gasser engine. It's like 6.6 liter, I think. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, radiator job. And I saw no videos on the YouTubes and the internet on how to do this job, so I thought I'll take you along with me and see how I do. I'm a good first timer. Number one, first thing you do before anything is, of course, you take your heart medicine, because you're gonna look up the price on this radiator and you'll be like, holy fuck. I happen to find this fine one. I'm waiting for it to be delivered here by the FedEx later today on Rock Auto. It was like $500 shipped, which wasn't too bad of a price, I guess. It's just what it was. You're gonna need a whole bunch of coolant. I have no clue how much. It was an OEM factory one. There were a few other options on Rock Auto, but this one I thought was the best one, although it was the last one they listed. So maybe they'll restock, I don't know. Parts store wanted way more for an aftermarket one that they have to order in, so they couldn't even get the goddamn Jesus thing. So here we are. Now this is going to apply to maybe 2020 and newer, up to 2023, I think. Radiator. I don't quote me on that shit. So if I either, after you've taken your heart medicine, you've found your radiator that you want to purchase, and you purchase it. And this one happened to be leaking over here in this front corner. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to buy yourself a 2008 Lincoln MKX with a leaking water pump, except for you find out later when you tear into it that it's really a head gasket issue, and you're like, oh fuck, and then you lose all your steam, and so then you just let it sit here for 6 months and use the spare tire, or use the tire where as a stepping stool, and then you use your special non-marine OSHA approved wooden block on the face of it, so you can be tall enough to get on here, because I happen to not be born with, gigantitis or whatever the hell this stuff is. From there, you're going to want to loosen up your air box. Long bolt, and then there is a 7mm clamp right here, and if you look at it from this way, you'll be able to see it as you're dropping the tool down and do it, or you have to stand way over it and look straight down. It was easier to just do it down there, or stand on the one side. Disconnect your little hose up here that goes into the side of, there's a nipple right here and whatnot, and it just goes down to the valve cover. Push in the little white thing and work it and pop it out. Getting it off the nipple was actually harder than I should have been, just because it's very rigid and it's a little bit cold today. There's a 10mm nut over here. Take that off and disconnect your mass airflow sensor. There is just the red tab, and then you push the very back piece way back here to release it, and then there's also one of these little Christmas tree kind of things here, and then work this thing. It's got 2 plugs in it right there, and eventually it pops off. You got to get it out of the little air duct work and just flop it off to the side, and that's all you need. That's pretty much done. At this point in time, you will then have access to the upper fan shroud retainers. You got this one right here, which is a little plastic push plug. We got another one over here. Okay, those are pretty straightforward. They're just a couple of these honkies right here, they're no big deal. And then below you'll have 4 of these. Personally, I've always been a fan of these little flush cutters for getting in there. They're super thin, and you buy them on the Amazons and whatnot. Pretty cheap. Right now we are currently dripping oil down there, because we're trying to keep the EPA happy. So any of you EPA snitches, I'm catching the oil. I'm not a fucking animal here, So you'll pop off those 2 down there, and those 2 push things on the right hand side. Not too terribly hard to get out with the upper fan shroud now firmly locked in place, because you then have to take out these 10 millimeter things on these lines. There's a couple little jobbers here, 10 millimeters, 2 of them on this side, and I think there's 1 on this side. I could be wrong about that. There might be none on this side. No, there's 1. There's 1 down there, I believe. Anyhow, or maybe not. I don't know. Looking at it, I'm going to say no, there isn't. Disconnect your upper radiator hose and this little line going up to your reservoir, and boop, wiggle it all out, pops right out. At that point in time, you now have access to the next part. I found it was easier to pull this ring dinger out of here. It's 3 fasteners. 1 is a long bolt up on the top right, and then there are 2 nuts also. Let's see, where the heck do they go? There's 1 right here, and then there's 1, it's basically down there sticking out behind the just below the AC compressor fan belt, and 2 13 millimeter nuts and a long 13 millimeter bolt up somewhere up in here, and that thing just comes right off. At that point in time, I chose to take out the fan assembly, or fan, that proved to be a little more difficult than expected. Should have been. And that's only to get the lower fan shroud out, because I just thought it was going to be smarter to do that. I tried using the classic Chevy LS tool here, but these pins are not wide enough, and it's not the right one. So apparently they updated, so you got to buy a new fucking tool. And no, the other side didn't work because they're even bigger pins. And the little tools here, they didn't really want to work, so I brought out the big Mammer Jammer air chisel and cracked her loose, spun it off, no problems at all in any way. At this point in time, you are telling yourself, okay, we're doing pretty freaking good. We're flying here. We're smoking. Lower fan shroud. There is a push plug thing right there on that 1 line, and 1 10 millimeter down there. And I don't think there was anything else. Just got to wiggle it out of the receiver clips, and it just pops right on out. From there, you're going to be taking out the brackets here. These are your brackets for your, oh, this is actually for the other side, but it doesn't matter. You get the concept. Bolt on there, a couple 13 millimeters, 1 right here, 1 right here on each side. That allow you to push this fan, or I mean radiator, sorry, fan, forward, allowing you to access your, I think this is a power steering cooler, not really sure, and your AC condenser. There's 1 10 millimeter bolt right here. It's pretty easy to access. Don't be like me and drop it down there, so I have to fish it out once I get this radiator out of here. And then this side just has a little push in tab. There's a side tab to push it in, and it just lifts out. The AC condenser, a little bit tougher, but that one just has these kind of pushy in things. So I personally use this, just pry bar, and went bing, pushed it in, and worked out both sides. Passenger side was a little tougher to get out of the little hooks, and lift it up out and set it to there. You got continuous dripping from the radiator, of course. Then you got the little spring clips, retaining clips in here, so you pull these little covers off on the top and bottom, and you pull the little clips out. They are different from side to side. The ones on the passenger side were a little more beefy, girthy, thicker. Pop them both off, both sides, and then you make sure you got a catch can below to catch it. Now, as soon as this thing stops dripping on the passenger side, I'm going to swap my 2 jugs, the coolant jug and the oil jug, to the other side, and I'm going to pop off that little radiator hose, which is about the only thing holding this side in, and I still got to pop up these 2 trans lines. But those are really, really simple to do, and then that way the oil falls into the right things. and lift the radiator out, and then hope FedEx didn't fucking lie to me, and I get delivered a nice, sweet, big, beautiful box on my porch. So I don't know if this will help anybody else. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe, you're probably only going to get 35 views on this fucking thing. But if it saves just one person a lot of headache and fear and trepidation, the job pays low end in shops, I believe, $600 fucking dollars. I got this far in like an hour or less, and that was just, some of it was even struggling, with the fan, trying to get that, until I brought out the air jizzle, and then that just made it butter, which I probably should have just did that step first. I'm going to suggest the owner gets a new radiator fan belt. Probably getting a lower radiator hose, and the reason why, with these style hose, with our push lock hoses where they got the big U clip, you're going to either want to replace the O-ring that's in it, and sometimes you can buy those O-rings, or replace the whole damn hose. I'm just going to replace the hose. This is a company truck for a company, so they're probably not going to give me any hassle about, yeah, I bought 2 radiator hoses when I did the radiator. You'll also find buying brakes for these things are fucking expensive. How much do you think 4 rotors and set of brake pads front and rear at the fucking O'Reilly's parts store are going to run? Now, this thing didn't even need rotors, as far as I know. Barely even needed pads. Fronts were down, rears were fine, but whatever. $660 my price for their brake kits of pads and rotors. So not cheap for this fucking truck. And of course it's got that yellow Loctite, which fight. Yeah, I bitched and complained. Freaking busted my head, just ugh. And like the front rotors, the calipers, yellow bracket, 4 bolts hold those Jesus things on there, so you got to fight 4 of those yellow Loctite ones. The Milwaukee gun actually did the fronts no problem. The back ones you had to do by hand. Not enough room for a tool. So peace out, bitches. Hope you all learned something, and maybe your 6.6 liter Silverado and whatever Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. This should apply to 2500 and 3500 Chevy trucks in 2020 and newer. I don't know. This may be outdated, and there'll be better videos by somebody else. But peace out, bitches.